Halo was always one of my favorite games growing up. A universe full of war, aliens, alien zombies. What's not to love? So, for my first YouTube video, I figured we'd go over one of the smallest and largest species in the Covenant. That's right, we're going over the Hunters. Now, for anyone not familiar with the Halo universe, the Covenant is like an alien Bible study group, you see. And somewhere in this alien Bible, it says that anyone who happens to be from Earth, which is you, needs to be put 6 feet under. The Hunters joined the boy band around 784 BCE. That's right, these things were being sent to military space school before Christ was even Christing. And to understand how all of this went down, we need to take a look at a bit of a story. This here is a 5-foot-long worm we'll call Timmy. Timmy here is from a species called the Legolo, and Timmy is absolutely disgusting. Anyways, Timmy and friends are from the moons of a gas giant called Tay. They enjoy lying in the dirt and eating rocks. One day, whilst enjoying such activities, they happen to find a 150,000-year-old foreigner orbital installation. Now, while I'm not sure how big one of these things is, they're said to be planetary in scale. Ignoring how dumb it is that the foreigners just left one of these things lying around, the Legolo collectively took a look at this ancient structure full of wisdom, power, and knowledge, everything that their species needed to advance, and said, yes, I wonder what it tastes like. It was around this time that the Covenant rolled up. Now, you see, the Covenant hierarchs saw the Forerunners as gods, and their technology as sacred relics, as it were. So they were none too pleased to find a bunch of worms just eating it. And with that, a bit of a holy war was launched. Looking at Timmy again, you might notice he isn't exactly built for soldiering. No arms, no legs, no hands to hold weapons, because he has no arms, because he's a worm. But Timmy does have a special talent. If you get enough of Timmy and his friends together, they can make a kind of meat mech. These Mecha Legolo, as they were called, could easily dwarf an elite who happened to stand around the 8-foot-tall range themselves. As you could imagine, for the Covenant, this made the ground war a bit of a bitch, losing quite literally every engagement that they participated in. To make matters worse, the Legolo lived on and around the foreigner structures that the Covenant wanted to preserve, so nuking them Fallout style was completely out of the question. Not wanting to give up, but also getting a tad desperate, the Covenant turned to an Arbiter, which is basically their version of the Master Chief, but a lot more suicidal, given the fact that there's a whole room dedicated to dead Arbiters in Halo 2. Jet Lukmati? I can't pronounce them, I'm just gonna go with that. Studied the Legolo and figured out that maybe, just maybe, the worms could be used for something other than target practice. With a bit of diplomacy mixed in with death threats for good measure, the Legolo would be brought into the Covenant and aptly renamed the Hunters. As you see them now, Hunters usually stand around 13 feet tall, come equipped with the plasma assault cannon and a big-ass shield, and have warship-rated armor. This brings their weight to a staggering 5 tons of pure wormy goodness. Goddamn. Oh, and to make matters worse, they come in pairs. Each hunter starts as a single colony. Once it reaches a certain size, it just spits out another one. These Bond brothers, as they're called, will always fight together, and should one fall in battle, the other tends to get a little upset. Now, in-game, this usually doesn't make a difference on account of us playing as the big green guy, but rest assured, for your average Marine or ODST, these things are going to turn you into red mist. In-game, Hunters are quite opposing, given their size and strength, but they have one weakness. There's a gap in the armor plating on their backs, so assuming you can get behind one without being absolutely obliterated means that even small arms fire can take them down eventually. But a much more convenient solution would be to just pepper them with whatever explosives you have on hand. Assuming you aren't in a tank and can't just nut them with a rocket launcher, stay in cover, bob and weave, outmaneuver them. It's all pretty easy on paper. In practice, you're probably going to get pounded a couple times, but you'll figure it out. A very notable pair of hunters was the Myriad Bond brothers. These two served under a faction called the Banished. Aside from being a kick-ass shade of red, their main claim to fame was bodying 2 full Spartan fire teams. For reference, Spartan 4s are the newest generation of super soldiers humanity had pumped out at the time. Being given the best training and equipment the UNSC could offer, going head-to-head with a pile of worms, humanity's finest soldiers were found wanting. Unfortunately, the Myriad twins came down with a rather significant case of death after crossing paths with the Master Chief, but they still gave him a hell of a fight, unless you played Halo Infinite like me and rocked up with 4 rocket launcher marines and a warthog. Hunters are tough, but auto-aiming rockets are a lot tougher. Given their rather unwilling joining of the Covenant, the Hunters aren't known to be the friendliest of fellas. In lore, Hunters are noted to have plenty of friendly fire incidents, and you know what? I don't blame them. The Covenant sucks. Interestingly enough, the Hunters can speak. Using the combined effort of the colony, they can make a subsonic vibration. And from what I can gather, this kind of communication is felt, not heard. As in, if a hunter is pissed off, it can project that motion onto you. And while they can use this method for more complex language, it usually is only a couple of words at most. As a random side note, I would really love if the hunters were actually able to speak in-game. All they ever really do is grunt at you when you shoot them. I mean, imagine how cool it would be if a hunter actually shouts something at you right before it backhands you into the Shadow Realm. Besides being Dark Souls bosses on the battlefield, Legolo are also pumped into Covenant vehicles as a type of inbuilt control system. Normally they never have full control over whatever they've been pumped into, since no one trusts them not to blast the nearest ally with the main gun, but they run most of the minor systems just fine. A good example of these bad boys in action is the Scarab tank. This 4-legged abomination likely has thousands of Legolo piloting it, which you can see when you board one to blow up its main reactor. After a 27-year war with humanity, it was brought to light that the Covenant religion was a bit of a complete lie, and everyone who had died for the war had died for nothing. This all culminated in the Great Schism, which was pretty much a divorce between the elites and the prophets. Now, the Hunters were one of the few species that had a decent amount of their ranks side with the elites. This was mainly due to the Hunters and the elites' shared time on the front lines. The elites were an honorable race who saw the Hunters' combat prowess and respected them for it, and during this time, the Hunters had grown to see the elites as their guardians, if it were, since most of the time the Hunters were getting their orders directly from the elites, and while this is a bit weird, it was still miles ahead of the elites' replacements, the Brutes. Brutes were savage, abusive monsters who were known for quite literally eating those poor souls unfortunate enough to be put under their command. Given the two choices, I would have chosen the elites as well. After the Covenant officially ended, the Hunters fell to the wayside a bit. Most that had fought in the war were dead, and with no clear purpose, it's possible some went back to their homeworld to rebuild their society, but for the most part, the lore is pretty open on it. Aside from the Banished and the Covenant splinter factions, there really hasn't been any mass sightings of Hunters since. Just about wraps up my video on the Hunters. Thanks for bearing with me if you're still here, and I know the audio on this video isn't that good, it's my first time, be gentle with it, but thanks for watching folks. I guess if I keep doing this, I'll see you all next time. Peace.